Let's kick things off here. My name is Ben. I'm a senior product marketing manager here at Charles. Been with the company since the beginning of the year, and I'm very happy today to be joined by my colleagues Umal Nasir, head of marketing at Charles, and Damien Minsky, our VP of strategy and corporate development. Very nice to see both of you. Would you like to introduce yourself? Let's go with Umal first.
Thanks, Ben. Hey, everyone. I'm Umul. I'm the head of marketing here at Charles. Been with the company now over 2 years, and it's been super interesting as a marketer to dig into the world of conversational commerce and marketing. And I'm excited to share some of those insights with you today. Thanks a lot.
Cool. Yeah, thank you, Ben, for having me. I'm Damien. I'm with Charles for almost 4 years now. Most of the time working in success management, so very closely with our clients. Defining different strategies, defining and implementing different use cases in WhatsApp, and yeah, very much looking forward to this webinar.
Exciting stuff. Thank you, guys. So Umal, to get things started here, a question for you. Why are we here today? And what's this personalization challenge that businesses are facing?
Yeah, excited to dig into that, Ben. To start off, I'd like to refer back to this recent McKinsey article that I read, which quite aptly puts what the challenge is for businesses right now. It's basically hyper-personalization at scale. What that really means is that we all know businesses need to communicate with a vast array of customers, but these customers come from many different backgrounds, they have highly personal preferences, and it's also not easy to reach them all on a broad scale and at the same time keep the authenticity alive. And so I think in order to be successful, brands have to really tackle this challenge head on. Now, if we break that down, I see really two distinct challenges here. The first challenge is the absolute maze that brands have to navigate in today's digital world, right? Just to be able to reach their consumers and find a touch point that works. To do so in the right channel, at the right time, with the right message. And if you think about it on top, it's really hard to maintain authentic engagement across a variety of channels. So social platforms that keep changing algorithms, emails that might not be opened, websites that are competing for attention, and even your own apps that could be cannibalizing your other channels. We also have customers, of course, who have brick and mortar stores, right? And that has a totally different customer journey than what is happening online. So as you can imagine, it's quite difficult right now for businesses and brands. And then the second challenge is about this hyper-personalization of customer communications. What that means is that ideally by collecting customer data, preferences, behaviors, demographics directly from customers, you are able to deliver hyper-personalized communication to them at scale. Here we already see how businesses need to pivot to be successful in a new reality of a cookieless era, right? So with growing crackdown on scraping tools, websites limiting data collection, first-party data becoming harder to gather, businesses are now struggling to get, I don't know, customers to fill out surveys or adopt favorable click behavior or log in their every interaction to gather the data that they need to work with to personalize. And this valuable data, be it behavioral or preference based, is crucial towards being able to fulfill this need for personalization and also being able to trigger an action from customers at the right moment. So in sum, what we really see is that this old customer engagement playbook we used to work with doesn't just cut it anymore. Yeah.
Nice. It sounds pretty overwhelming, to be honest. From your perspective, what do you think is the solution here for businesses and brands?
So I think with great challenge comes great opportunity, right? The best thing for businesses to do here is really to listen to their customers in the first place. If you look at the results from a 2024 study commissioned by Meta that surveyed over 6,000 online adults across different countries with the high penetration of smartphones, we see that between 72 to 79% of adults said that they prefer messaging businesses. It makes them feel more connected to the business and that they're already talking to businesses on a weekly basis on messaging apps. If we consider it, there's a few key factors driving this shift, and it's all really just based on human behavior and how most of us like to interact with our friends and family. So first of all, it's about convenience, right? Like people dread being put on hold over a phone call, especially Gen Z. Who are they calling anyway? And also, as well, sending emails, never hearing back. So messaging provides this immediate asynchronous communication that fits into a customer's busy life. Second is familiarity. All of us are already using messaging platforms daily to communicate with friends and family. I mean, the learning curve is almost non-existent. And then finally, it's the mobile first experience, right? Messaging apps just provide a natural extension of the mobile shopping experience. There was a recent customer engagement report by Twilio that found that 74% of consumers prefer conversational customer experiences versus traditional support like calling or email. So yeah, that's quite a lot of data for brands to digest there.
Hmm. Yeah. Do you think the study there is also relevant for like Germany and Europe, where we are, or is it only, do you think it's only relevant for markets where this business messaging is already prevalent, like India or Brazil, or like
Yeah,
in China with WeChat, stuff like that?
yeah. I think that's a great question, Ben, and it's also something that we get asked a lot of times from prospects or people just starting out with conversational messaging channels. I think it's a misconception that a lot of the ways that we like to communicate with our friends and family across the world is vastly different from each other, and it does not apply to businesses. But I think it does, even in countries like Germany that are privacy first, and also in Europe. For that, if you consider the fact that conversational messaging apps like WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, Instagram Direct, they are fundamentally changing the game, right? WhatsApp is the dominant messaging app in Germany, followed by Facebook Messenger. And that shows a huge potential for business messaging already in this region, right? For the simple reason that people are increasingly expecting the same easy messaging experience that they have with friends and family when they connect with the business that they love. Now, let's take the specific example of WhatsApp, right? It's a dominant messaging app in a variety of major European markets, but on top of that, it also has over 2 billion active users globally. It's clearly a platform that consumers prefer, and if businesses are willing to meet the consumers on the platforms they prefer in a meaningful and authentic way, they can really boost their brand perception and meet their customer engagement and communication goals. So now let's look at the two challenges I mentioned at the beginning, right? The first one was around reaching customers in the channel of their preference with the right message at the right time. With popular conversational messaging apps like WhatsApp, businesses really need to take it seriously as one of the channels that they can use to authentically engage with their customers. They need to start building a presence, an identity, and an engagement strategy for these channels right now, or they will likely be get left behind. The second challenge was around being able to hyper-personalize customer communication at scale. That is by collecting customer preferences and data directly from customers. With zero-party data collection through channels such as WhatsApp, for example, where customers actually volunteer to share their preferences, and this is something we've seen in a lot of our customers as well, it is a gold mine for businesses truly wanting to understand their customers and put them first. And in turn, then you using this information to communicate with their customers about what they want, how, when, and where they want it. I think it's absolutely the right direction to think in. And so, what makes conversational messaging apps particularly powerful is to fulfill this gap and with their ability to deliver hyper personalized messaging at scale. And also, this isn't just about addressing customers by their first name or something simple like that, right? It's about creating truly tailored interactions that resonate with individual customer preferences and needs. Especially in the case of WhatsApp, what we've seen is that businesses of all sizes can engage with customers in a way that's personal, convenient, and widely popular. But they also don't have to give up their controls of data analytics and GDPR compliance, anything else that they need as a business-driven technology. Yeah.
Super interesting. Thanks for your insights there. Yeah. I think that kind of brings us to our next point that for businesses, they really have to consider what the potential financial return could be for investing in conversational messaging platforms like this. And there, I think it's really important to look at the long-term value over a period of time. And on that note, I think I'll kick it over to my colleague Damian, who will be sharing the results of a recent study that Charles commissioned from Forrester that showcased the financial return that companies can expect from deploying a personalized WhatsApp marketing strategy. So over to you,
Yeah,
Damian.
yeah, sure. Thanks, Ben. Yeah, let's maybe dive into the results in a second. And to start with, let me maybe briefly introduce everyone to the TEY concept because I think it's a very specific context. Not everyone is aware of it. So what is the Forrester TEY study? If you haven't come across this kind of analysis before, so it's I would say pretty rigorous and research-based framework that quantifies the benefits, costs, and risk of an investment into certain software. So in our case, WhatsApp marketing through Charles. And the goal of it is to actually give companies a relatively clear and data-backed way to evaluate the ROI or a purchase decision before making it actually. Right? So just as you also said in the introduction, what could be the financial benefit? What is typically the financial benefit of implementing a certain software? So what did we as Charles also want to find out, right? Because we actually know from working with hundreds of brands that WhatsApp works, but we wanted to put also a real number behind it. So we asked Forrester to investigate the financial impact of our solution based on one of our clients, a major fashion retailer in Europe. And maybe a third kind of like intro question. So how is the study conducted? Forrester interviewed the retailer, looked at their actual performance, looked at data before and after implementing Charles. And based on that, they built a 3-year financial model to measure the total economic impact, right? Really in terms of a financial margin and financial benefit.
Gotcha. So
Okay, but
what were
yeah.
the results of that? Like, what did they find?
Let's talk about results. I think it's on the next page. And don't worry, I'm just not gonna just throw numbers at you. I'll try to break them down so it also makes sense for your business, right? It's obviously one specific case, so the number itself will differ. But I think the key kind of like outcomes and drivers might be very, very similar, right? And if we talk about the let's say the 3 top outcomes, I think the most relevant number is on the top right? The 249% ROI, that's 2.5x margin based on the investment. And this paid back in under 6 months. Yeah, and I think the third number that should stand out here is that over 3 years, the retailer will see a financial benefit totaling almost 1.2 million in net present value, right? So there is a little bit of a risk adjustment, time adjustment, and the kind of total over the time period of 3 years, including the initial investment in ongoing costs, is 1.2 million. Yeah, so that's maybe also quite important to know that these results weren't based on, let's say, a highly advanced multi-channel setup. It was very much the opposite. So at the time the Forrester ran the study, this one client used Charles mostly for, let's say, simpler promotional campaigns, and only based on that they actually rolled out a more advanced setup in the following month.
Pretty impressive numbers. Where did they see like where the value was coming from?
That's the left hand side, so say of the chart. Or maybe you can go back one page. So the 4 drivers that Forrester has found and quantified, right? Because there is also like a little bit of it's a non-quantified section. But the 4 key elements they have quantified is, first of all, higher customer engagement. So basically the click rate. Yeah. How did it happen? Mostly through, as the topic of our webinar today says, hyper-personalized, also event-driven campaigns that sparked interest and really fostered interaction and engagement. So the key for the client was to go beyond pure discounts and using different gamification methods, also a little bit of a behavioral psychology concept, like creating urgency and FOMO, and gaining really significance and relevance. And with this higher customer engagement, and also as a second step, increased click-to-conversion rates. So before Charles, the kind of like legacy systems and the campaigns using the system had a, I think, 3.3 click-to-conversion, 3.3% click-to-conversion rate. With WhatsApp marketing via Charles, it was around 12%. Yeah. And the reasons are the same. So it was the same, let's say, gamified messaging approach, including personalized offers and really interactive campaigns. The third large element is all about subscriber growth. So WhatsApp really became a key acquisition channel. We launched different organic and paid acquisition campaigns, leveraging influencers, for instance, to push subscriber growth. And second part in it is also the easy and fast opt-in process via WhatsApp, right? So that really helped to significantly expand the reach, gaining, I think it was around additional 170K subscribers across Europe within the first few months. And the fourth and last element here is the cost saving, which probably I wouldn't talk too much in detail about because it's an individual thing, right? There was an old system, they scrapped the old platform they were using earlier, so that saved vendor fees, avoided downtime issues. So this was relevant in this single case. If a brand, let's say, starts from scratch, then it wouldn't be that relevant. So now we talked about numbers, right? The hard facts, ROI, payback period, the benefits in terms of financial margin, but there is also something even more important to the numbers, and to this case it, let's say the numbers cannot fully capture, right? It's, let's say, the strategic advantages of WhatsApp as a marketing and engagement channel. And there's also a part of the study, and Forrester highlighted actually several unquantified benefits that play a huge role in driving their success, but were not quantified in terms of financial impact, right? And maybe I can pick three that I find also most relevant for other brands, right, in our audience today. So we kind of also use that as a bridge to not talk only about the Forrester case study, but maybe also about a few more. And one element that we see also very, very often, and this is also the kind of like one of the, obviously the key ambitions and goals for many brands starting with Charles, is to improve customer experience and satisfaction, right? So customers do no longer feel like they're just receiving mass promotions, but they really get engaged in let's say, relevant real-time conversations that add value, and not only to the brand, but also to the user or consumer. So and yeah, as you know, right? Also, Amal, what you said earlier, WhatsApp isn't just another channel. It's most often the preferred channel. And consumers today, they expect actually the same conversational ease. Is also one element that you mentioned earlier, when communicating with brands, as much as they have with friends and family. So right. So I think this is kind of like one big element in it. And with this comes also enhanced brand loyalty and retention as a second big element. So I think really by being present where customers naturally communicate, brands can build relationships that go far beyond the individual transactions, I would say. Right. So what we're trying to achieve with many brands is to not only get to a high conversion for a specific campaign, right, but to really increase the number of repurchases and customer lifetime value in the end. Yeah, so that's most often the key elements in it. And let me maybe pick one more, right? The third and last one I would want to talk about is also better customer insights, right? So now moving also more towards the brand. Brands using WhatsApp have the possibility to get rich first-party data on, let's say, consumer preferences, behaviors, the purchase intent, and it's data that traditional marketing channels often fail to capture, right? And once you actually gather and collect the data, you can also use it to inform activities on other marketing channels. So it's not only about the conversion rate or engagement rate within the channel, it's also what you can learn about your clients and how you can use this information to orchestrate other marketing channels and make them more effective.
Yeah, that's great. So maybe let's take this conversation beyond just the single case study we have here. While you've been at Charles, I'm sure you've seen almost, 400 or 500 brands bringing WhatsApp into their marketing mix. Maybe we can talk
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, you're fully right. So yeah, as you said, right, the retail in the specific case focus primarily on promotional campaigns, and actually other brands do leverage WhatsApp a little bit more holistically, I would say, right, for customer service, for a broad range of different marketing use cases, and with this they're unlocking even greater long-term value, right? So we see this in the work we've done with other brands across different industries, and let's maybe take a look at a few brands. I think I have 6 in total that have successfully used WhatsApp across the entire customer journey, right? From acquisition to conversion and then retention to customer service.
Yeah, sounds good. Let's go through some examples.
Yeah, let's let's maybe start with the customer acquisition side of things, right? So I think the first example should be Taco Fashion. So here it's really about bringing really combining online and offline experiences, something we hear quite often, especially for brands and retailers with an offline presence. So Taco is one of them. It's a discount fashion retailer with almost 2,000 stores in 17 countries, and they were actually looking for a way to drive in-store visits into their retail stores, right? And find a way to engage customers beyond app notifications in email marketing. We know the downsides of those channels. They do have upsides, of course, right? But there are also some downsides. And by partnering with us and leveraging WhatsApp as a communication channel, Taco was really able to create those personalized interactions and drive food traffic and an improved conversion rate. So I think particularly in kind of like the really even more price sensitive Italian and German markets. Yeah, and I think one of the really key KPIs that stands out is whenever we really had like such a marketing campaign and in those areas, we saw the uplift in in-store purchases for those few days of up to 80 or even in some cases 120%. So really doubling the overall revenue in those specific stores on that specific day. Second case, different industry, automotive, right? Volkswagen, I think the household name in car manufacturing. What is this about? So they were able to get over 1,200 test drives or test drive sign-ups for their EV car launch in the UK. And for this, they've been using click-to-chat ads. In this case, on Facebook Messenger, but they're also available on WhatsApp. And they used it kind of like a meta product or format to bring the online users into car dealerships, right? So also a little bit of an online to offline case where they could test drive the car, obviously, and also get a personalized offer based on the initial chat, right? So I think much of the conversation that would typically happen in a car dealership already happened online, and through this engagement, online, they could actually get the person into the dealership and were able to gather personalized information to make a personalized offer from the get-go, right? So that's also, I think, a pretty cool story how to really acquire new customers, also increase engagement, increase interest.
Talking about engagement, I think the next case is about that, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. So passionate is now maybe also moving a little bit from the, let's say, acquisition to conversion, right? Really talking about engagement, and then I mentioned also better customers insights. So I do have also a hands-on example for this one. But let's maybe talk about fashion for a second. So it's a luxury e-commerce fashion company, and the starting point here was that let's say traditional communication methods like email newsletters were not fully meeting the, let's say, customers' expectations for immediacy and engagement, right? So they started using WhatsApp as an additional touch point to deliver tailored content at scale, and the consumers love it, right? I think they saw a 7.4x higher conversion from WhatsApp versus the most engaged email newsletter segments, right? Just as one example. You also see the ROAS on the page 18 or the AOV uplift. So basically the feedback that we got from customers, both on, let's say, the qualitative side via chat as well as numbers, speak for themselves. And another case I would want to talk about also in the fashion industry is Jack Wolfskin. I mentioned first-hand customer insights right before, and in this case, I'd like to actually point out exactly that element. So they wanted, of course, also drive conversion, right? In the end, it's always about driving purchases. But to be more specific here, it was first of all really about collecting customer insights via first-party data, and this is something we see also more often for brands that sell mostly via retail outlets, right? So sometimes they lack a little bit of this first-hand customer contact, and often have to invest in larger consumer research studies to get insights about the consumers. And in this case, the Wolves can turn to WhatsApp to get in direct relationship with the customers and ask them about their preferences during the subscription, or let's call it opt-in process. Yeah, so people when entering the chat, they have to first of all, of course, give their consent, right, to be GDPR compliant, but they also need to respond to a few questions. And the completion rate of that, let's say, opt-in flow was well above 90%. And the data was then also used to personalize the campaigns, right? So, as I said, in the end, it's obviously always about conversion and driving the purchases, and the click-through rates of over 30% were also like outstanding and really satisfactory for the client.
Very cool. And you also mentioned another category kind of next to marketing as customer service. What about that one?
Yeah, I mean, customer service also, it's something some brands shy away, right? Because hey, right, we want to like push messages, have a nice marketing automation, earn money, but it's not so much that we want to spend time with the client, right? And maybe, answer the questions and respond to those messages in real time. And you also don't need to do this, right? So I think we have two different stories how different brands tackle it. First of all, Dermalogica. So here it's about personalized one-to-one, one-on-one consultations. And Dermalogica, for those who do not know the brand, it's actually leading a skincare brand owned by Unilever. The challenge at the time was that they wanted to really scale the personalized skincare advice without losing the expert touch, right? So how to bring basically the expert touch, the direct relationship they have in basically the offline touch points also into the online world, so to say. And because customers wanted, they really loved the tailored recommendations, and the traditional support via email couldn't really keep up with this, right? So to solve it, Dermalogica added skincare consultations via chat, and basically allowed customers to receive instant expert-backed product advice, so to say, mimicking a little bit of this professional consultation that would happen in store otherwise. Yeah, and I think one key outcome is also faster response time, higher engagement, leading to more confident purchases and highly engaged audience, right? So again, this is not it was something that was not used on a standalone base, but as a little bit as a part of the more holistic approach to WhatsApp. And we see this also on a few numbers here. It had very positive, let's say, spillover effects on the engagement for marketing campaigns. Yeah, so it's also a nice combination of customer service, so to say, and marketing use cases. Okay, one last case, right? We're also looking all forward to the Q&A session later today. So it's about it's Bernhard. Here it's all about really service requests, right? So Bernhard is a premium barbecue brand, very strong customer community. And their challenge at that time was handling high volumes of product inquiries efficiently while maintaining this, let's say, top tier customer support and high customer engagement. Part of the solution, WhatsApp automations, right? So customers received instant answers to common questions like, let's say, product specs, troubleshooting, order updates, a little bit of a, let's say, FAQ automation without waiting for a human agent. And even in this kind of like relatively basic version, one of the key outcomes was that 35% of inquiries, so 1 out of 3 inquiries, was resolved automatically, really freeing up support teams for more complex requests while ensuring really fast and seamless customer interactions. But also, like thinking about today and where we all stand in also in terms of technology, probably in all honesty, I wouldn't even see this one as a super huge success anymore, right? Because what we did here with Bernhard was actually setting the baseline. So it is a basic automation to handle FAQs and simple requests. And today, as we all know, it's all about AI agents, and I think that's a whole new game, right? So instead of just following this preset flows, AI agents can understand, adapt, and later maybe also anticipate customer needs in real time, right? So they do not just respond, but they also engage and learn and optimize conversations dynamically. And without revealing too much today, that's actually also exactly what we will be bringing to Charles over time now, right? But I think to tell you more about this really hot topic, I will hand over to Ben again. So yeah, Ben, how do you think about it? Like, where does AI fit in? What will we see over time in Charles?
Yeah, thanks, Damien. Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, the obviously it's the hot button topic at the moment, and brands and businesses are asking themselves how does AI fit into my business, to these topics of personalization, conversational marketing, all this stuff. I think AI is transforming a lot of industries right now, and at Charles, we believe that it has the potential to do the same for the way that businesses interact with their customers. We've been thinking a lot about this topic, especially in the last 6 months. And as Damien mentioned, we have some exciting news coming soon on this topic. But as we were thinking about it, we identified sort of three central challenges that have been top of mind for brands that we've spoken with. And starting off there, the first challenge that we've seen is that there's this perception that AI is unstructured, or that, a lot of AI products are basically just a wrapper over the top of ChatGPT. And I think the struggle here and the challenge is that it's hard for AI in this format to have like a tangible impact on business outcomes. Um, because it's not really geared towards anything specific. It's just a chat window basically, and you're talking the same as if you would talk to Chat GPT on their website or whatever. So I think the solution, or the first guiding principle that we've defined here for us, is that AI has to drive real results. Um, and the second challenge that we found is that there's this perception of AI being impersonal. And if you think about like AI chatbots, which some brands have on their website, or like a web widget, this kind of thing, these tools usually don't make very good use of customer data, and they don't have a lot of context. Every time you start a new conversation with one of these chatbots online, it's kind of resetting the context, unless it's like inside of an app. But then, there's all the challenges there of like people decline cookies on the web, or people don't want to make an account for every interaction they want to have with a brand. And so our second solution here, our guiding principle, is that AI has to be personal, and it has to have a good way of like leveraging this data that brands have with their customers and the different segments and preferences and things like this. And the third challenge that we have seen brands have when they're coming to this space is like there's this perception also that AI can be risky. I think we've all seen those horror stories of like the chatbot on some online thing that's like giving away, things that it shouldn't be saying, and not really aligned with the brand voice and tone and things like this. So for us, it's super important that any AI tool in this space has to be safe for brands to use, has to, adhere to voice and tone and things like this. Yeah, so I don't want to spoil too much, same as Damien, but if you are interested in this topic, please keep an eye out. We have some exciting news coming next week for how Charles is approaching this AI topic and what it means for consumer brands. And also be sure to join us in our next webinar in this series, which will be happening on April 10th, where we'll be diving much deeper into this topic. So yeah, with that, Uma, back to you. Could you wrap things up for us?
Thanks, Ben. Super exciting, and also super exciting stuff coming up. Sounds to me like AI is really the value add when it comes to deepening existing use cases already across the customer journey. And yeah, I think that's where the real value lies. Now let's sum up what we learned today, right? Let's start with a number for that. 40%. That's how much WhatsApp contributes to the total CRM revenue of one of our customers. So if you're not really thinking about conversational messaging channels right now, you're really leaving money on the table. But it only proves what we learned today, right? The combination of the ROI and benefits from the Forrester study, the growing importance of omni-channel marketing by using the data from one channel across different channels, and also the impressive results some of our customers have seen. It just makes a compelling case for why brands, retailers, businesses can no longer ignore conversational messaging platforms as a core part of their marketing strategy. These platforms offer a unique opportunity to deliver personalized experiences at scale, drive conversions, and also build long-lasting customer relationships in an increasingly competitive digital world. WhatsApp in particular, right? We talked about that with its powerful zero-party data collection capabilities. It provides a direct channel to achieve this level of personalization and communicate with your customers where they are communicating with their friends and family. And this is also along the entire customer journey, by the way, as Damien also showed through a couple of the cases, is from awareness to post-purchase support to long-term retention and loyalty. But that begs the question then, as a brand, as a business, what should you do practically, right? What are the next steps? Let's talk about 5 things that you can start off with. So the first step is to assess your current customer journey. You can evaluate how does conversational messaging platforms fit into your overall customer engagement approach. And also how do they integrate or will integrate with your existing tech stack, particularly like your email marketing CRM or your data center. The second one would be to identify the key use cases that are relevant for you, right? Determine which stages of the customer journey would benefit most from conversational marketing or commerce. Is it acquisition? Is it conversion? Repeat purchases? Retention? Where do you see the most value for your business? And then, of course, you have to choose the right partner, working with experienced business solution providers and official meta partners who can help implement, optimize, advise you on conversational commerce for your unique business needs and cases. Then you can finally start targeted and scale and automate. So this basically means you can start with targeted use cases that you identified in the first 3 steps, and then you can expand as you see the results. However, you can also consider like event-based automations. So what this means is particularly relevant for e-commerce businesses. These can be automated triggers that you can kind of implement, such as abandoned baskets, back in stock, and others, where you can get recurring revenue just by using these simple automations. And then finally, measure and optimize. As is the case with any channel when you newly implement it, right? You need to make sure that you make your own learning. So test out different things, track performance, and then continuously improve your approach to see what works best for your business. So these are the 5 steps and would be my advice to any of the businesses that are listening to us here today. But I think, like, what do you say? We're already at 20 minutes before 11. What do you say, Ben, Damien? Should we get to the audience questions? And Ben, do you see any questions come up for us in the Q&A or chat?
Yes, I did. The first one we have here is, do you have any insights on Eastern European, Southern European usage of WhatsApp versus something like Viber, specifically about like Greece, Croatia, Romania, these kind of places?
Yeah, I can take that one. So, we we do not have that many clients from the region so far. However, we see that WhatsApp is rapidly gaining traction really across those countries, right? Really making it also a more essential platform for businesses. So Viber has a more of a historically strong presence in some of those countries. And WhatsApp is really now with its global reach and also superior business tools and just also the interface for users, really increasing adoption in those markets, right? So it's especially also in Croatia among younger users and in Greece, and also Romania is also one of the markets that we do actually have a few clients in already. So it is definitely upcoming and an increasing relevance, and we do not actively think about Viber because we do not. It's more of a kind of like a historically strong presence, but it does also is not really developing towards this kind of like business-like direction. So it's not really relevant for us, and we see WhatsApp coming up in those markets as well.
That's great. Thanks, Damien. Next question that came in was, how can companies balance AI-driven automation with authentic, personalized customer engagement to foster long-term loyalty?
I think, Ben, maybe you could talk through some things here also with your recent experience of how we are taking this approach, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think what we see in here is like AI powered by LLMs, can go beyond traditional chatbots by engaging in these natural context-aware conversations, and give overall like a much more human experience, right, than these canned responses. It can understand nuances, intent, and sentiment, things like this, and make the other person, the customer, feel like they're talking to a real person in some cases. I think also it's super powerful how it can It can analyze past conversations, purchase history, behavior, things like this, to make sure that its responses are like hyper-personalized to each customer and adjust its voice and tone on the fly, right? Depending on what the customer prefers. And I think also these AI agents that we're talking about is kind of the next thing coming with Charles. Like, it can they can also have a level of like emotional intelligence. They can detect when the customer is frustrated or excited, something like this, and kind of be more empathetic than just a normal chatbot would be or something. So, and I think the fourth point is that like AI can ensure brand consistency. Like it can mimic certain storytelling styles. You can adjust the voice and tone to be closer to your brand, things like this, which gives overall a very cohesive experience for the customer. Uh, cool. Yeah. Third question here was, will we get the recording or the PowerPoint for this? And yes, this will be shared after the webinar in an email to the attendees. Uh, let's see. Next one here.
I think it's a question around the company or brand size that is eligible for messenger marketing and yeah, first newsletter and then messenger. Not sure about the second part of the question, but maybe let's talk about the size, right? So what we see for us, like with what kind of like with what brands we want to work together, and what do we see the kind of like the critical size? I think it's when you can get really around 1,000 subscribers per month, or like very rapidly get to 5,000 subscribers and then move from that point. So I think basically brands that do have, yeah, let's say around 100,000 website visitors, right? We do see that around, let's say, yeah, 0.8 to 1.5 of the monthly website visits do convert via a pop-up. You can also have, of course, some actions on social media, driving some campaigns. So I think for brands with around 100,000 website visits per month, it's fairly easy to get to, let's say, 5,000 subscribers in maybe 3 to 4 months. And that would be the really critical size to also start personalizing, to start segmenting messages, and really drive also value and obviously also compensate for the work and effort that needs to be put in the beginning.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, the next question was asking about B2B cases. So the question asker was saying we found it's more difficult to engage and convert business clients than private persons through WhatsApp because it seems like business clients get more annoyed from this channel than consumers would. What do you think about that?
Mm, mm, I honestly, we in our work focus mostly on B2C cases, but that I still wouldn't fully agree with the second part, right? It's not really that businesses are getting annoyed from Essential, like do not want to, so B2B cases can work or do work. It's really about also what is the goal of a brand, right? And we briefly touched upon the critical size and hey, when does, what is the kind of like minimum size of the audience? When can brands actually get enough value out of it and so on? And I would say that's kind of like a similar question, right? So what is the exact B2B use case? Like, what is the audience? What is the size? How valuable are those conversations? How important is it that they get seen and also get seen in almost real time? And basically, also in terms of segmentation, personalization, kind of like this, also using Charts as a little bit of a CRM and CDP layer, also getting customer insights, getting those insights and informing different marketing channels, right? Basically all those the kind of like the value proposition that comes with it. Is it really that relevant, or is it just, hey, I have a group of 20 people that is always the same, I just want to send messages? For those like super basic use cases, it's possible, but brands would not really use the power of Charles, right, and of the platform. So for those B2B cases, it's probably a bit less relevant because of the size, right? So I think in B2C cases, there's just much more value that you can get out of it. But we do also have a few clients that really need a B2B use case. So I think there's one that really uses WhatsApp to communicate with, let's say, like many small mom and pop shops and those kiosks and smaller stores, and let them kind of like repurchase and refill, and kind of refill their shelves. So it's a big soft drink company. So this is a B2B use case. It's pretty big and it's very successful. So there are definitely exceptions, to confirm the rule.
Nice. Thanks for that. Next question was, what is planned for the upcoming sessions of this webinar? And I can maybe take this one. So next session on April 10th is going to be all about this AI topic, and we'll be diving more into detail about that, both in terms of like what is happening in the industry and also like what Charles is doing and offering in this space. And beyond that, the next sessions are going to be around topics in this sphere, in conversational commerce, retention, loyalty, these kind of things. And for upcoming sessions, we're also planning to not just have people from Charles speaking on this. We want to invite guests on from different companies and clients in the industry to get outside perspectives as well. So you can look forward to things like that coming up. Next question. Umal, I think you said you wanted to take this one. The question was, I read in a lot of case studies how Charles has helped companies get, 9,000 subscribers in a month. Could you provide more details about how you do this? Like how exactly was it done? Which touch points, the kind of language that was used, the countries, things like this.
Nice. So that's a great question, actually. So what we look at is the different entry points from where customers would likely sign up to join your WhatsApp channel, right? And these entry points, we call them chat-ins. So what we've seen is that the best performance really are the typical suspects, website pop-ups, checkout opt-ins, thank you page opt-ins, where basically you either pair a discount or give some kind of option to the customers to kind of opt into your WhatsApp channel. But also you can have other kind of touch points. For example, when you talked about what kind of countries or languages, you can see in the taco fashion success case that their way of collecting these kind of opt-ins or subscribers was via their offline stores. So in Italy, they had at these checkout counters, these barcodes, which customers could scan, and then they would get a €5 discount as well as opt into the WhatsApp channel or community that they have and receive their newsletter. So really, it really depends on the case, but the usual points of entry are the website and all these different thank you pages, checkout pages. Also, our dedicated customer success managers, they have a lot of experience over the past years, right? Working with different kinds of customers in different industries to advise what really works well. So they have great strategies to match the business and the industry to ensure that constantly the channels are growing with valuable subscribers. Because at the end of the day, these subscribers are the gold mine from where you can send these personalized campaigns and drive conversion and see those results that you are probably seeing on our website. Hope that answers your question, but we can also get back to you after if you need any more info on exact strategies. Thank you.
Yeah, I think piggybacking off of that, there was another question of how can brands build communities on WhatsApp? Is this possible with Charles?
I think for me, like, let me take the example of Wild Link Shoes, another one of our customers. So it is definitely possible. And also it depends on how are you engaging that community. So what they discovered is that they would, for their WhatsApp community, they would do these kind of live shopping sessions on their website where people receive an early access code. And then for a product launch that they did, they could join with that WhatsApp access only code online on their website. And there they would be able to join the live shopping event that was happening with influencers that were on the site. So you really can do these different things where you kind of give the feeling of like being a VIP to your community. You can give them WhatsApp only exclusive discounts, benefits, and then engage them on big moments for your brand, like a product launch Or like, for example, during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, that the WhatsApp community is the one that gets access to perks that others don't have that are just like normal online shoppers. So I think WhatsApp is actually a super great channel to create a community and keep them engaged with what they would like to, hear from the brand. So yeah, definitely possible, I'd say.
That's great to hear. Very cool. Let's see, next question in here. From someone saying that as we consider adopting WhatsApp marketing, what are like the key performance indicators, the KPIs that they should be focusing on to measure success beyond just like ROI and conversion rates? What do we see?
Mhm. Yeah, I can try to say that, but there is no, I mean, there's no one answer, right? Because it really depends on the initial challenge, right? So also in the few use cases that we talked about earlier, I always try to start, hey, what is it actually that the brands tries to solve, right? Do they want to drive engagement? Do they want to drive first-time purchases? Do they want to also use the channel for more as a branding channel. So to really communicate about values, communicate about brand, or drive repurchase. Some want to really increase the share of repeat purchases. Some want to really look at customer lifetime value. So it can be different KPIs, right? There can be engagement KPIs, like really, hey, open rates, click rates, and moving them to one-time purchase, really conversion rates to drive maybe also like peaks or drive really peaks also in the store, offline store, online store for certain days or weeks. Um, but I would also always kind of really advise to look at the long term and really look at the channel as just, and adding an additional touch point and increase loyalty and retention in the long term. So really looking, if possible, at customer lifetime value of cohorts. And this is something that is, of course, takes a little bit more effort to set up and to analyze. But it's what basically really shows the overall total effect of the channel on the customer base.
That's great. Sounds good. So I think one last question here before we wrap up for today. There was a question that came in about the how would you rate your AI chatbot compared to other business providers? And I think we'll share more details of this next week and in the seminar to come. But just to talk briefly about what Charles is doing in this area, I totally hear your concern here about like companies that are launching AI products before they're really commercially viable. It's not actually making an impact, or it's like not really solving any real issues for the business. And this was also one of our main concerns when thinking about this AI topic. Like whatever solution that happens here, it has to actually drive real results and like be making an impact on the business. And I think the way we think about it is like, versus a chatbot, from the past 5 years or something. You can have the challenges on like a web platform with, it doesn't fully take all of the customer data into consideration because of cookies being declined, sometimes automatically by a browser extension or things like this. But in WhatsApp, if you have subscribers that have, done this double opt-in, then you have access to all of this data, all of this personalization, where the AI can really tailor the responses to each different customer. And I think also the other thing that we took into account when we're talking about our AI product is the any AI tool that is going to be not just a wrapper on top of ChatGPT is going to have to use data from the company that is using it somehow. And so I think in this case, for the product that Charles is using, we're really seeing like, the better the data that the company has, that the business is using, the better the quality of the data that they can give to the AI agent, the better that it is, And so it's the more you invest into it and give to it, the better returns it gives. And the cool thing with the Charles tool, not to get too much into the details, but the very cool thing we have is like being able to kind of take these WhatsApp campaigns, these journeys, and have AI be seamlessly integrated into like a campaign flow. So not all of the messages are being created by AI. Maybe some of them are questions and answer that are, pre-scripted responses, but then at a certain point, if the customer is asking for something specific, the AI takes over and then it can hand it back to the journey or to a customer success person. And also on the topic of like safety and things like this, we have this technology called Safe Match, which is going to be coming out with our thing, which is it kind of gives brands a lot of tools to guard themselves against some of the risks of AI and make sure that these responses are tailored to their brand voice and not hallucinating things and coming up with answers that don't exist and things like this. So yeah, we'll say more in the next session and next week, but these are some of the things that have been on our mind as well.